David stared at his reflection in the polished boardroom table, a stranger looking back. 10 years. A decade since he'd first stepped into a management role, brimming with youthful idealism and a genuine desire to uplift his team. He'd climbed the ranks, earned the promotions, and built a reputation for efficiency and control. He was the one who got things done, the problem solver, the decisive leader. But the face in the reflection was harder, lines etched around eyes that once sparkled with empathy, now narrowed with perpetual assessment. He remembered a time when he'd spend hours listening to his team's personal struggles, offering a compassionate ear. Now, every conversation was streamlined, every interaction transactional. He was more effective, more resilient, more in control. But something vital had been lost, something he couldn't quite name, a warmth, a connection to the very humanity he once championed. The silence of his own reflection screamed a question. Who was this person? And where had the old David gone? We are often told that leadership demands efficiency, resilience, and control. We strive to become better managers, to optimize processes, to drive results. But what happens when the very qualities that propel us forward in our careers begin to erode the essence of who we are? When the pursuit of professional mastery inadvertently leads to a profound disconnection from our own humanity, from the empathy and compassion that once defined us. This isn't a story of failure, but of a subtle, insidious transformation, a quiet loss that often accompanies the relentless climb up the corporate ladder. It's the existential ache of realizing that the answer you sought in external achievements was never in the next promotion, but in preserving the very soul you risked losing. Join us as we explore this profound disillusionment and discover how ancient wisdom offers a compassionate framework for navigating the paradox of becoming a highly effective leader, yet losing touch with the compassionate human within. Sarah began her career as a passionate social worker, driven by an innate desire to help others. Her empathy was her superpower. She could connect with anyone, understand their pain, and find solutions with a gentle touch. Her colleagues admired her compassion. Her clients adored her warmth. She was a natural leader, not because she commanded, but because she inspired trust and collaboration. She envisioned a future where she could scale her impact, helping more people by taking on leadership roles. Her transition into management was gradual, initially driven by the desire to implement more humane and effective policies. She believed she could change the system from within, making it more responsive to human needs. She started small, managing a team of 5, then 10, then a whole department. With each promotion, the demands grew. She had to learn to make tough decisions, to prioritize resources, to navigate complex bureaucratic landscapes. The gentle touch began to harden. She learned to detach, to view problems as data points, people as resources. Efficiency became paramount. Compassion, while still present, was often seen as a luxury, a weakness that could hinder progress. By her 10th year in management, Sarah was a regional director, overseeing hundreds of employees and millions in budget. She was highly respected, known for her sharp intellect, her ability to cut through noise, and her unwavering focus on results. She could streamline any process, resolve any conflict with cold logic, and deliver under immense pressure. Her team, while productive, kept a respectful distance. The laughter and camaraderie that once filled her office were replaced by quiet efficiency. She rarely engaged in personal conversations, finding them inefficient. She prided herself on her objectivity, her ability to make decisions without emotional bias. One evening, after a particularly brutal day of layoffs and budget cuts, Sarah found herself alone in her large, silent office. She caught a glimpse of her reflection in the dark window. The woman looking back was undeniably successful, powerful, effective. But her eyes were cold, her jaw set, her posture rigid. She tried to recall the vibrant, empathetic young social worker she once was, the one who would cry with her clients, who would fight tooth and nail for every individual. That person felt like a ghost, a distant memory. She had become everything she thought a good manager should be: efficient, resilient, in control. But in the process, she had lost something intangible, something she couldn't articulate but felt deeply, a part of her soul, perhaps, that thrived on connection and genuine human warmth. The success felt hollow, the power isolating. She had built an empire, but at what cost to the architect herself? Sarah's journey reflects a common, yet often unspoken, modern dilemma: the paradox of professional growth leading to personal erosion. We are conditioned to believe that upward mobility, efficiency, and control are the ultimate markers of leadership. But what happens when the very qualities that propel us forward in our careers begin to harden our hearts, making us less empathetic, less connected to our own humanity? This isn't a story of failure, but of a subtle, insidious transformation, a quiet loss that often accompanies the relentless climb up the corporate ladder. It's the existential ache of realizing that the answer you sought in external achievements was never in the next promotion, but in preserving the very soul you risked losing. Ancient wisdom, particularly Buddhist philosophy, offers a powerful, compassionate lens to examine this disillusionment, not to dismiss ambition, but to redefine success and find a path towards integrating professional effectiveness with profound human compassion. A Buddhist perspective. Sarah's experience of becoming a highly effective manager while losing touch with her empathy is a poignant manifestation of dukkha, suffering, arising from avidya, ignorance, of the interconnectedness of self and others, and tanha, craving/clinging, to the idea of control and efficiency as the sole drivers of success. The core issue is the suffering that arises when our pursuit of professional mastery leads to a disconnection from our authentic, compassionate selves. The Four Noble Truths of the Hardened Heart. 1. The truth of suffering. Dukkha. The suffering is evident in Sarah's feeling of being a stranger to herself, the coldness in her eyes, the loss of warmth and connection, and the hollow feeling despite external success. This suffering arises from the gap between her initial compassionate self and the hardened, efficient manager she has become, leading to a profound sense of loss and isolation. 2. The truth of the origin of suffering. Samadaya. The origin of this suffering lies in the clinging to the idea that professional effectiveness must come at the expense of empathy and personal connection. This craving is fueled by avidya, the ignorance of anicca, impermanence, of external roles, and anatta, not self, as applied to the belief that her identity is solely defined by her managerial persona. Societal conditioning that equates leadership with toughness and detachment also contributes to this suffering. 3. The truth of the cessation of suffering. Nirodha. The cessation of this suffering comes not from abandoning her managerial role, but from letting go of the craving for absolute control and the clinging to a rigid definition of leadership that excludes compassion. It comes from accepting that true effectiveness can integrate empathy and from finding peace in cultivating a balanced approach. It's about cultivating upekkha, equanimity, a balanced mind that understands that true strength lies in integrating seemingly opposing qualities. 4. The truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. Magga. This path is the Noble Eightfold Path, which guides us in cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline to integrate professional effectiveness with profound human compassion. The Noble Eightfold Path to reclaiming your compassionate self in leadership. Right view. Samadhi. This is the understanding that true leadership integrates both efficiency and empathy, and that genuine effectiveness arises from a holistic approach. Right view helps Sarah see that her worth is not solely defined by her output, but by her capacity for connection and understanding. It's the understanding of interconnectedness, that her well-being as a leader is tied to the well-being of her team, and that compassion is a strength, not a weakness. Right intention. Sama Sakapa, instead of the intention to solely optimize and control, the intention shifts to cultivating well-being for all, fostering growth, and leading with genuine care. For Sarah, this means intending to reconnect with her initial purpose of helping others, and to lead with both head and heart. Right speech. Samavaka. This involves speaking with kindness, clarity, and authenticity, fostering open communication rather than just issuing directives. Sarah can practice active listening, acknowledging her team's concerns, and expressing her own vulnerabilities where appropriate, rebuilding trust through genuine dialogue. Right action. Samakamanta. This means taking actions that are both effective and compassionate. For Sarah, this might involve actively seeking feedback from her team on her leadership style, delegating more to empower her team rather than controlling every detail, creating spaces for genuine human connection within the workplace, prioritizing the well-being of her team alongside performance metrics. Right livelihood. Sama Ajiva. This involves reflecting on whether her current leadership style and the organizational culture truly support her ethical principles and her desire to lead with compassion. If the disconnect is too great, right livelihood might prompt her to seek a different leadership approach or even a different environment. Right effort. Samavayama. This is the effort to prevent unwholesome states like detachment, cynicism, or rigidity from overwhelming her, and to cultivate wholesome states like empathy, flexibility, and genuine connection. It's the effort to consistently bring awareness to her leadership style and to gently redirect her actions towards a more balanced approach. Right mindfulness. Samasati. This is the practice of being fully present with her own internal experience, the feeling of disconnect, the longing for her past self, the subtle cues of her team's emotions. Sarah can observe these without judgment, allowing them to be, and using them as signals for where she needs to reintegrate her compassionate self into her leadership. This practice creates space for self-awareness and prevents her from being swept away by the demands of efficiency. Right concentration. Samasamadhi. Through sustained mindfulness and right effort, Sarah can develop a deeper state of mental calm and focus. This allows her to gain clarity on her true priorities, to make decisions that are aligned with her authentic self, and to find inner peace that integrates her professional effectiveness with her profound human compassion. When the mirror reflects a stranger, and the pursuit of efficiency has hardened your heart, the path forward is not about abandoning your leadership role, but about reclaiming your authentic, compassionate self. Here's how to navigate this profound transformation. 1. Acknowledge the loss. The first step is to recognize and validate the feeling that something has been lost. This isn't a weakness, but a courageous act of self-awareness. Allow yourself to grieve the person you once were, and understand that this acknowledgement is the beginning of healing. 2. Redefine effective leadership. Challenge the conventional wisdom that efficiency must come at the expense of empathy. Explore models of compassionate leadership, servant leadership, or mindful leadership that integrate both results and human well-being. True effectiveness includes fostering a thriving, connected team. 3. Re-engage with empathy. Actively practice empathy in your daily interactions. This might involve active listening. Truly hear what your team members are saying, both verbally and non-verbally, without immediately jumping to solutions. Perspective taking. Consciously try to see situations from your team's point of view, understanding their challenges and motivations. Vulnerability. Share appropriate personal experiences or challenges to foster connection and show your humanity. 4. Set intentional boundaries. While efficiency is important, create boundaries that protect your capacity for human connection. Schedule time for informal interactions, mentorship, and genuine conversations that are not solely task-oriented. 5. Reconnect with your core values. What were the values that initially drew you to leadership or to helping others? Revisit them. Find ways to integrate them into your leadership style, even if it means challenging existing norms. 6. Cultivate self-compassion. The journey of reclaiming your authentic self can be challenging. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that you adapted to survive and succeed in a demanding environment. Practice self-forgiveness and patience as you embark on this new path. 7. Seek feedback and mentorship. Actively solicit feedback from trusted colleagues, mentors, or even your team, if the environment allows for psychological safety, on how your leadership style is perceived. A mentor who embodies compassionate leadership can provide invaluable guidance. When the climb to the top leaves you with a title but a hollow heart, and the reflection in the mirror shows a stranger, what is the true cost of your professional ascent? Is the efficiency you've gained worth the empathy you've lost? What if the greatest act of leadership isn't in controlling others, but in courageously reclaiming the compassionate human within, allowing your true self to lead with both wisdom and warmth? The corporate world often rewards toughness, but true wisdom lies in integrating strength with sensitivity, in finding balance amidst the demands of performance, and in leading with a quiet conviction that honors your deepest values, even when it means challenging the status quo. If this message resonates with your own journey of leadership and self-discovery, share it with someone who might be silently grappling with the paradox of success and the search for their lost self. Let's build a community where leadership is defined not just by what you achieve, but by who you become in the process. Namaste.